morning.
Good morning.
It's a pleasure to be with you. And so we're going to talk about service because that's the theme for July. And the affirmation is, I serve for the joy of serving. And again, it's the 4 T's. It's really not the tithing of time, talent, and treasure. It's tithing, time, talent, and treasure. They're all really 4 separate things. Sometimes we put them all in together. And you know, one of the things I said in my write-up is do this for, if no other reason, you owe it to yourself. Okay? You owe it to yourself to be of service, because what happens when you're of service over a period of time, it brings you 4 things if you really work it. Peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness. Anybody interested? Oh, yeah. So what I'm going to do today is give you a little bit more of a difference from the traditional version of these ideas into some of the things that I look at, how I look at it, which you know is sometimes a little bit different than the norm. So, number 1, before we get into the 4, you have to be, well, you don't have to be clear on one's intention. What's my intention when I'm going to be of service? There's an excellent book called Working with the Law, and it talks about all the laws, and it's by a gentleman by the name of Raymond Hollywell. Excellent, if you really want to get some of those blocks gone. I didn't like it at all. It's called The Law of Thinking, that he was talking about. That's one of the laws. He said, and it is really real important, if a person's ruling mental state is upward or expansive, that is upward bound, aspiring, harmonious, or positive, all his or her forces will be directed into constructive channels. Now you might say, oh, what are those constructive channels? Well, how should I know, and how do you know? But I guarantee you that if you work with that, that opens up those channels in that direction. He does go on to say, but if there's that but, which kind of really negates all of it if you're into this mode of thinking. But if his or her state of mind is in a downward tendency, critical, discordant, negative, then all of those forces will be misdirected and create havoc. True? Absolutely true. I'm an expert at creating havoc. I had 17 really good experiences at it, so, you know, what did I have 1 year experience that I did 17 times? I'm not sure. But anyhow, we can choose where we place our attention. And if you're clear and honest in your intention, then the results of how to be of service will be delivered to you. You don't have to go looking for them. You might have to start to get the flow going, but they will be brought to you if that's your commitment. And your job is not to say, oh, you gotta be kidding, I'm not doing that. Okay? And you know, for me, I was really lucky, because I was totally freaking desperate. And I had nowhere to go, nothing, no idea how I was going to make that breakthrough. And then I said, God, if I can get my life back, I'll commit to spending as much of it in service as possible. Okay? And I was really sincere about that, but you gotta be careful what you say. Yeah. Okay? Because I remember what was delivered to me was a job. I started in January of 1980 in a new job as being an instructor in the School of Business at SAIT for, 8.5 years, and then 22.5 years I spent my time. And while I was doing what I started, I was thinking, well, how am I going to be of service? I did not realize at the time, and then once I realized it, then it enhanced and progressed what I was doing. But being an instructor and guiding young people that are the bulk between 18 and 20 on the next step in their journey in life, and even guiding them to know that what they're doing right now is not really the best step for them, but to complete it and then unfold to another one. I did not realize I was being of service and how much of service I was over the years. And it comes back to, I remember about 8 years ago going into the vets when we got our little dog, and there was this lady, she was older, and she said to me about the second time I was in, "Did you teach?" I go, "Yeah." "At SAIT?" "Yeah." She said, "I took accounting from you in 1981. This was 7 years ago. I go, "Well, okay." And I look at her, she's a little oldish looking, and I go, well, you're a mature student?" "Oh, no, I was only out of school for a year or so." And I go, "Well, 20, and then, oh yeah, that would make her about 55, so I guess she wasn't. She isn't a little old, that's just how it is." But and she remembered me, and we got a great relationship. She really respected me, and she's the office manager for the veterinarian service. That's what you got to do, So you never know how you're going to be in service. So the second Sunday that I went to, not only did I demonstrate the job, but I demonstrated my first spiritual experience in a spiritual center. And I went down there, and then I was sitting there on the second Sunday. Now, when I say, when the Spirit speaks to you, you better do it. But you might be befuddled, because I'm there, and I'm listening, and then the voice says, "Doug, you're going to enjoy being a minister." What? That's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I got to go to court in March, and I might be doing 2 to 5 in prison. How the hell can I be a minister? But the voice come back and said, "Doug, you're going to enjoy being a minister." And I go, well, I guess if that's what I got to do, I got to do. And then right away, quick like, within a year, I got on the board, and I started giving them my talent. I'm a CPA and a professional accountant, and taught that for, I guess now 30 some odd years I taught it. And so I volunteered to be the treasurer. And sometimes, and it was a new experience, but I had all the talents. However, when your life is kind of running together, different areas like that, have you ever had that? There I am going, and I'm an instructor at SAIT teaching and counting, and here I am over here, and I'm a member of the board of the church. And over here, I'm just on my way of weaning myself out of a motorcycle gang that I've been a member of, ultimately for 10.5 years. And when you're being of service in all of those areas, it's really interesting the different types of meetings you have with people. And you gotta not make sure that the language doesn't blend and go over, because it does raise people's eyebrows. So, I've never in my life did I ever dream of being of service in those two areas. It's not up to me to decide. It's not up to you to decide. It's up to you to make that commitment and be clear on what your intention is for doing it. I was totally clear on what my intention was. It was salvation and finding a better way of living so that I could actually have a life. Have I been rewarded? Over and over and over again. And yesterday was one of the neatest experiences, because I got a picture with my aunt, myself, my daughter, my grandson, and my great-granddaughter. All in one stream like that. And they tell me my great-granddaughter's extremely stubborn. And I looked at her grandfather and her father and her mother and me, and I go, yeah, I understand why. But to be alive, to have that peace, prosperity, fulfillment, and happiness, that's what you get when you're clear on what your intention is, and you don't tell God how you're going to do it. It just doesn't work, and you're not that smart, honestly. You just do it. Find a place to give, and you do it. So the next thing, when you're doing this, you have to ask yourself this question. Who am I serving? Anytime, because you could go and give, but you could be part of the problem, not part of the solution. Have you ever seen good people giving that are part of the problem? Yeah, guess what you're going to get? That's a discordant thing. You're going to get havoc. Always make sure who you're serving and serve the Spirit, not the physical. And Jesus said it really clearly in Matthew chapter 6, verses 22 to 24, when he said, the light of the body is the eye. If therefore thy eye be single, thy body shall be full of light. But if thine eye be evil, then the whole body shall be full of darkness. If therefore that light is in me be darkness, how great that darkness. And then he said, no man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or he will hold the one and despise the other. You cannot serve God and mammon. And mammon is the physical. God is the spiritual. You can't serve them both. You serve one, and it impacts the other. Vice versa. So the way to go is take the higher road. By the way, which is not the easiest one. I think they said in the Bible, wide is a gate and wide is a path that leads to destruction, and wide is a gate and narrow is the way that leads to salvation in the spiritual journey. And not many are on that path, but the whole other one's crowded. That's why it's a big one. So we get to choose who we're going to serve. We get to choose whether they're going to be part of the problem or the solution. So now we get into the 4 T's. First one, all separate, tithing. A lot of people got the wrong idea about tithing. Tithing is a 10% number. It's giving to where you receive your spiritual food. It's giving with gratitude. Okay? But it's not just giving that of your treasure. It's something else. And I like what Jesus said in Matthew 23:23. He's talking to these scribes and he goes, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for you pay your tithe of mint, anise, and cumin, which in those days was the valuable spices and things like that. And that was weighted in money. Today we exchange money, but they exchange that kind of stuff. So you pay your tithe of mint, anise, and money, or cumin. However, he said, now here's the part nobody talks about. And if you've done that and have omitted the weightier matters of the law, judgment, mercy, and faith, then you ought to have done these and not to leave the others undone. So you need to not only give the substance, but you have to watch working with the law. You have to make sure you're free of judgments and you're doing it in a merciful fashion, and you have faith. Because if not, it doesn't matter how much you give. You can be pious. I gave 10%. You ever heard that before? Yeah, they think that's all you got to do. I'll just give it. You don't have to do the rest of it. So it's really important that we know about doing the rest of it. And that's tithing. I keep that separate from the rest, okay? Because it's a little bit different there. Then the next one of our top one is time. That's our most valuable asset and resource is time. So one of the things I say, don't associate with toxic people or toxic situations. And unfortunately, I can be friends and family. But you know, if you got toxicity anywhere around you, guess what happens to you? You get slightly toxic yourself. So be careful how you spend your time. One of the most valuable commodities I have as I get older is my time. People always say, oh, you've got all these talent, you need to get some cards and you could go into business. I don't want to go into business. I don't do that anymore that way. But I still have people come to me for different services, and somebody says, well, how do you market it? God. What do you mean? I says, I trust in what I have, and that the Spirit draws to me and brings to me the people that need what I have and the way I do it. Well, how does that work? Well, I don't know how it works, but it does. Try it on for size, you know? And so that's the most valuable thing that I have. My brother says, oh, Doug, you can make a lot of money doing that. I said, yeah, but I don't want to do that because it takes time. So I am very, very tight with where and how I get my time. Because you know I'm looking in the mirror and it's getting near the end of the day. And then it becomes aware of it don't matter, things can change just like that. So enjoy what you have and give of yourself in a rich manner. I've got people I do a lot of stuff for. In fact, one of the things that's happened to me just recently, people are bugging me to do a class on my program that was reflective of my first 11 years in this. So if anybody's interested, I'm running a couple of Zoom classes, one in the Eastern Zone and one in the Western Zone, a 10-week one in September called Self-Sabotage. I was a prisoner of my own mind. Okay? Next, talent. Everybody has a unique and specific talent. I don't care who you are. And if things aren't going for you, that's because you don't recognize and acknowledge how special you are. We had a discussion around my motorcycles. I mean, well, you must enjoy working on it. Yeah, I polish it and clean it. Oh, you mean you don't do all that other stuff? I said, no, I'm smart enough to know to get someone who knows what they're doing to do it. I do things that I'm really good at, and I swap services, eh? And that's what we got. Use your talent. So, I had a lot of experience. And for me, I had to make sense of my life and add some value of that 17 years I spent on the other side. So what I did was make a commitment to myself to share that experience in a way that would assist. And over the years, I've had the opportunity to be in different groups and audiences and talk to over 50,000 junior high school and high school students in different kinds of scenarios. And never once in any of my talks did I ever tell them what to do. I don't tell people what to do. I tell people that if you do this, this can happen. If you do that, that can be happen. Because I've done both of them. I said, I can't tell you what to do or not to do, but I can tell you if you keep doing that, what the next 14 or 15 years might be like, if you live. So you all got a talent. Start using it. Don't worry about the stuff you can't do. You wouldn't believe the list of things I can't do. I don't do repairs. Anna looks after that. You ask her, it's really better that way. And the last one is treasure. And there's a lot of different ways that you could share your wealth. So the difference, tithing is spiritual food. Donations are not tithing. Donations are a sharing of your treasure to support other ideas that you believe in. That's not tithing. Keep the two separate, don't put them together. Yeah, I know you won't get tax deductible receipts of 50%. Okay? But we're not talking about that. We're talking about our mental capacity and how we look at it. So there's a lot of ways you can do it. I can share my abilities in a lot of different ways. Not only my talent, but my treasure, my money. I get to do whatever I want with it. And you know, the nice thing about it is, I can even share it with myself and enjoy it now. And not feel guilty. Anybody felt guilty? Oh, I really shouldn't spend that much money on that, but I'm going to. And then you get to beat yourself up for being useless, and why did I do that? Everybody know what I'm talking about? Yeah, okay. We don't have to do that because we're worthy. So all in all, this idea of service is about really two things. It's about how we do it out there and what's going on in here with our idea of doing it. Why do we do it? What's going on in here and how do we take it out there? And you know, the great thing about it is you can't outgive God. Try it. You find yourself busier than you ever expected. I never thought I'd be taking care of 3 people in 3 different care facilities as service. Did you ever think of that? Oh, I want to be doing that in 40 years. No, folks, don't say how it has to happen. But when it comes to you, if you're committed to it, don't say, oh, no, that's not what I want to do. If it comes to you, there must be a reason. God's bringing it to you. So have a look at it, see what you can do. And the bulk of the people here putting this together so everybody out there and here can enjoy it are all being of service. So take a moment to congratulate yourself and take a moment to love yourself for all the beautiful talents that you got and the willingness that you are to share them in your own unique way, because it's all the little parts that make the big part whole and complete. And we're all in this together, and I know that, I accept it, and so it is.